The previous government, which was put up by the government of India as a facade, as a kind of a mask to play his dirty games here in Manipur. Incident, my appeal to is that do not fall into the trap of communal politics, and because we will suffer at the end of the day. Only some vested interests will get benefit out of the conflict. So that's my general appeal to the people. Thank you. Thank you for coming. I just wanted to share with you a couple of issues, particularly this violence that had erupted on 7th and 8th of February in Lithan. There are some positive development we can see despite the violence. Positive development is that the elected members from Kuki communities and Tangkhuls and other, they meet and try to sort it out. And this is a very commendable, responsible act of politicians. But the lesson that we must learn is that this kind of a conversation did not happen in the crisis that started on May 3rd, 2023. That's something that you should notice, that one. But my appeal to the government is that this should not be allowed to happen, and one must crack down on those people who were responsible for the arson and the violence. And law of the land must operate. The third aspect is that what I get to see in social media is there are armed people moving around, sometimes openly threatening or engaging in this kind of a violence. But you have suspension of operations or otherwise also. The government should not allow this kind of a thing. Only the army, the paramilitary, the police and the central armed police, these legitimate forces should be the one who use this violence and who can move around. You should not allow and encourage and normalize this kind of thing which we get to see in this violence as well. So I think the appropriate action must be taken and ensure that. Otherwise, this have a serious issue with us. The crisis that we are facing is because of this inability or unwillingness of the state to impose its authority and will over this area of physical violence. The state should monopolize it. They should not allow this anybody else to move around with arms and so on. I think so. Like sue, if these people are involved, those people are that you identify, where are the ground rules. These things must be imposed. Only then ordinary citizens can live in peace. And that's the third one that I like to say. Last one is, as I said it, we must be alert to this kind of a violence, because is it something like A and B is already in crisis, so B and C should also be in crisis, so that Manipur can be split it on marked communities lines. So I was observing, what does this violence means, and I think people of Manipur should also be equally alert to such possibility. What is the intention behind this? The government should crack down and do the needful so that this is not encouraged or repeated again. I think this visit by our Honorable CM is a welcome visit. I mean, this is something that you expect from a political leader, a state chief minister. I'm glad that he is doing this, and I fully endorse and support such visit. But there is a larger issue that we face, that the state government has been reduced to being a puppet over the last 2.5 years. In India, law and order is, you ask any expert on constitutional law, they will tell you that law and order is the sovereign and plenary authority of the state, and you should have the absolute power over this. But unfortunately, you put up a facade of being a state government, and the government of India actually de facto exercises things. This is something that we have seen it. So I expect the Honorable CM and his government to stand up, reclaim this, our constitutional authority. Until unless we do that, this entire drama, you put up a state government and then give these symbolic gestures to play around with people behind the actual concrete substantive areas and decisions are taken by government of India. That should not be allowed. I hope that our CM, as son of the soil, and his government must be able to stand up for the people of this state and reclaim its rightful constitutional authority over law and order in the state. That's how I looked at it. To that extent, if he is able to do that, then probably he will be able to resolve these crises. If he is not, then he will also end up like the previous government, which was put up by the government of India as a facade, as a kind of a mask to play his dirty games here in Manipur. Incidentally, You remember that, two things, this latest development I must share with you. I was desperately wishing at the beginning of the crisis in May 2023, our elected members will appeal to the people to calm down and assert state authority to stop. That did not happen. Nobody did that one. But this time in Lithan, these elected members from different communities are meeting to resolve it. That's the difference we need to remember. We have this tendency over the last 2.5 years to demonize the entire community, whether be it Meitei or the Kuki. And if you remember my speeches, I was always use qualified word. I say some Kukis, for example, and I boldly said that don't blame the entire community. You blame the politics and its elites. You should be able to distinguish, and this is exactly the language now these politicians started speaking. Like it's only individual affair, this is not a community, and so forth. You see, that language they should have spoken at the beginning, and I did. And the Chief Minister's visit to this lady who died in Jiribam, remember, I don't know how many of you, right in the heat of that conflict time, I asked the audience in a meeting I addressed in Singjamai to stand up in memory of that lady and one Meitei lady who were killed. I said, in memory of these two ladies, at that time my speech I said, this is women are the first one to suffer. And so I requested in the midst of election campaign, right in Imphal, in Singjamai, I asked all the audience to stand up in memory of. That kind of a culture is something we have been missing. That's why I welcome our CM's visit. If I have the chance to speak, you would have seen what I was about to speak on the floor of the House. I mean, this is how the political leaders should do that. Ultimately, we should also stand up against communalism. And there are politicians who thrive on this communalism, and the lives of the people are nothing but means to end, political end for them, which I am against that. And this is also, I kicked off, if you remember, on 21st May 2023, in print interview, I said, for some people are playing dirty game, and a few thousands, people suffering or few people getting killed. It's something that they think is a means to an end. It sounds like that. That's what I said exactly in this fashion. But unfortunately, we couldn't control it. The leaders did not do what they are supposed to do. But the way they are doing it now, I welcome them. It's something that they should do it. Politicians now should talk about it each other. Don't play on communal games. We should control this thing as far as possible. No, I don't know whether that particular thing has been revoked or not. I have no knowledge of it. I was expecting that this should be in the hands of the Chief Minister, rightfully so. And then he should be chairing sessions, whether it is our army commanders of the Red Shield Division or IGR South or any of the top officials of the security establishment in the state. The CM as a political executive head should be the boss to decide on this thing. Remember that I said when the Central Armed Forces work in the state, in the domain of law and order, they always work under the state government. They cannot work outside of the state government's authority. Because law and order, that's why I think I'm hoping that our Chief Minister will take it over if it is not already been revoked, and that should be done away with it. If he can give an advisor so that somebody to aid, then he is welcome to have advisors. But actual chairman and actual political decisions to lead and spearhead this committee on the law and order, our CM should be the authority. That's my feeling. And that's the same thing. If you are not able to reclaim the law and order, then you will end up like a puppet. You will be doing cosmetic, some symbolism in the front, behind the scenes, substantive and real power will be exercised by Delhi. That's how the Delhi survived. Everybody was trying. It helped, them. Oh, state government, communal government, this. Then on the other end, they said that, oh, we have taken over law and order. Chairman is sent by us. He is cooperating with us. Whatever we are saying he is doing means what? Well, Delhi is playing the game. So that facade is there. I think that's important, that law and order should be reclaimed by the state, and it is mandated by the constitution of this country. I am not saying this. It is the constitution which says this. That's now confined to certain pockets, that kind of resentment, and at least 3-4 of them. I heard one honorable MLA from our Tipaimuk area. He said that it should be talk over the dialogue. You cannot threaten and intimidate it. I think the state must take care. Indian state must take care of it. You can't just go on like this. But thankfully, you can see increasingly that who are against peace and who are not. So you can't blame the entire cookie community. Some are ready to say that resolve hona chahiye. We should resolve this at the dialogue level and so on, which is a mature thing to do it. And that's how the constitution ethos of this country demands. And our honorable MLAs from across the community started doing some of them. We should encourage that. They should come down, do not become a pawn in the hand of vested interests. We as ordinary citizens are the one who will suffer. I think that they should not forget. And we have seen in the last 2.5 years or so, this is the politics played by people, and we ordinary citizens suffer. And you have to live together. You can't choose to sift away from here. Since we live here together, the citizens together, and all the citizens should have that fraternity which it is there in the constitution. So I think my appeal to is that do not fall into the trap of communal politics, and because we will suffer at the end of the day. Only some vested interests will get benefit out of the conflict. So that's my general appeal to the people. Thank you so much.